When Ren proposed cooperation, Ari narrowed her eyes with caution. Her voice was cool but curious. "Young Master Ren, what kind of cooperation are you suggesting?" Ren smiled, noting her guarded demeanor. "There's no need to be so tense. We're just talking, after all." He leaned forward slightly. "Also, I know you're an elf." A flicker of alarm passed through Ari's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. "I don't know what you're talking about, young master," she replied calmly. "This is a human city. How could an elf possibly be here?" Instead of pressing her, Ren pulled out a coin pouch and casually tossed it back to her. "No need to be so defensive. I meant what I said. I don't have any ill intentions toward your people." Ari caught the pouch, her expression unreadable. She didn't respond to the implication, choosing instead to steer the conversation back. "Then, what kind of cooperation are you referring to?" Ren gestured toward the sacks of food stacked on the cart nearby. "Food supplies," he said plainly. "I want to cooperate on that." Ari's eyes followed his gaze. She folded her arms. "I respect your intentions, young master, but I'm not convinced you can handle an issue as massive as food distribution." Ren raised a brow, clearly amused. "Oh? And why do you think that?" Ari didn't hesitate. "The food trade in Island is controlled by 4 major families. They've been rooted here for over a century, and they manipulate the market as they please. Prices, distribution, even availability, it all goes through them." She paused, then added pointedly, "You may have frightened a few of them during the banquet with your show of force, but they're not fools. They'll find a way to claw back what they've lost." Ren interrupted with a smile. "You seem to know quite a bit about Island." Ari nodded. "I've lived here for over 120 years. I know how this city works." Her voice grew more serious. "Had you destroyed the Elwyn family outright at the banquet, there might have been a chance to reset the power structure. But now, the other families will resist you even harder, and with the war, the famines, food is already scarce." She sighed, a note of quiet frustration in her voice. "If prices had remained stable, maybe my people could have survived the winter. But now—" Ren cut in, his tone firm and eyes unwavering. "Within 2 weeks," he declared, "food prices in Iceland will plummet, lower than ever before." At the lavish mansion of Augustus Ken, head of the Klein family, laughter and the clinking of wine glasses echoed through the hall. Augustus sat at the head of the table, a pleased expression on his face as he raised his cup. "I must thank Lord Eldry for his unwavering support," Augustus said warmly. "Thanks to him, our 4 families have enjoyed considerable profit this season." The other merchants and nobles in the room nodded in agreement, their faces glowing with satisfaction. One of them raised his goblet high. "To Augustus, may our business continue to prosper." A round of cheers followed. The atmosphere was one of triumph, each man confident that their wealth would only grow from here. Just then, a servant entered the hall and bowed respectfully. "Sir, young Master Ren has sent an invitation. He requests the presence of you and the other gentlemen at a banquet he is hosting." The room fell silent for a brief moment. One of the younger men looked up, startled. "Ren? Is he planning to punish us?" He turned to Augustus, his voice uneasy. "Sir Augustus, what do you think? We just want to make money, not lose our lives." Augustus chuckled, sipping from his wine. "Calm down," he said smoothly. "According to Lord Eldry, our trade in food supplies is perfectly legal. As long as none of us confront young Master Ren directly, there's no danger." He leaned back confidently. "And don't forget, our 4 families together hold massive influence in Iceland. Ren may be the Duke's son, but he can't touch us. Food prices are determined by merchants, not nobles. Even the king wouldn't dare interfere." His words brought a wave of relief across the room. The men relaxed, nodding as they considered his logic. Their anxiety faded, replaced once again by ambition. "If we play this right," one of them said, "our families could live in luxury for the next 100 years. Augustus grinned. "Exactly. Right now, a sack of food sells for 2 gold coins. If Ren tries to pressure us, we'll make a token concession, drop the price by 5 copper coins, just enough to appear cooperative." Then his expression turned serious. "But let me be perfectly clear. If anyone backs out at the last minute—" He paused, his eyes narrowing. "I won't forgive them. The consequences will be unimaginable." The other men straightened, the weight of his words settling in. "Don't worry, Augustus," one said firmly. "We're fully committed." "Absolutely," another added. "We stand with you." Satisfied, Augustus stood from his seat. He raised his cup one final time. In that case, gentlemen, let us dress appropriately and attend young Master Wren's banquet. The men rose with him, unaware that the banquet awaiting them would be far more than a simple dinner. It would be a reckoning. The nobles were momentarily surprised when Augustus suggested changing into different clothes, but none dared question his decision. They followed his lead without complaint. Later that day, in the grand receiving hall of Wren's mansion, a servant approached and bowed. Young Master Wren, Lord Augustus, and the other guests have arrived. Wren, reclining in his seat, gave a calm nod. Invite them in, and tell the kitchen to begin preparing the meal. Moments later, Augustus and the other influential men entered. Gone were their extravagant robes and gilded accessories. In their place, they wore faded, patched clothing, so convincingly ragged they could have passed for beggars. Wren raised an eyebrow, amused by their theatrics. Trying to fake poverty? You lot are still terrible actors, he thought. He offered them a cool smile. My goodness, aren't you the noblemen who control the food supply in Ireland? Why do you appear so impoverished? Augustus quickly stepped forward, his expression full of false humility. Young Master Wren, we've recently learned of the many ways your projects are benefiting the people. We wish to show our sincerity by living more modestly and giving back to the community. Another noble chimed in smoothly. Indeed, under Lord Augustus's guidance, we've not only donated a considerable amount of money to your initiatives, but have also sold food from our warehouses at the lowest prices possible, even taking losses to support the people. Standing behind Wren, Leah looked at the men with open disdain. Shameless liars, she thought. They lie so easily and with such confidence. Wren, unmoved, simply nodded. Thank you for understanding my vision. Your support truly moves me. He gestured for them to sit. Now, let's get to the main reason I invited you here, the grain trade plan. Augustus leaned forward. Young Master Wren, we understand you've been short on funds lately, but at the current price, 2 gold coins per sack, we're already selling at a loss. The other men quickly echoed the sentiment, nodding solemnly. Wren tilted his head, lips curling in a sly smile. You've misunderstood me. Starting tomorrow, I'd like the price of food in Ireland to be raised to 4 gold coins per sack. The nobles blinked in confusion, stunned. Raise the price? One of them repeated. 4 gold coins per sack? Augustus echoed, baffled. Did I mishear you, Lord Wren? Wren didn't answer directly. Instead, he continued smoothly. Yes, 4 gold coins per sack. And I'll be taking a 30% commission. The room went quiet for a beat. Then, slowly, understanding and excitement crept across their faces. So he's not just some righteous child after all, they thought. He's one of us. What had once seemed like a potential power struggle now looked like an alliance with a cunning and ambitious young lord. Their doubts faded. One of the men leaned in, smiling. I misjudged him. Wren's far sharper than he looks. They all began murmuring in agreement. Some even regretted not approaching Wren sooner. Augustus, still pleased but cautious, cleared his throat. Young Master Wren, thank you for understanding the plight of those of us who work behind the scenes. If I may ask, when will this new pricing be made official? Wren was ready for the question. He looked to Leah and said, The document. Leah handed him a scroll, which Wren unfurled with a flourish. I've already written and stamped the order with my family's seal. It will be posted publicly after the banquet. With that, the room erupted in subtle, contained excitement. Wren's voice turned cool again. From now on, you'll follow my instructions. If you need a reminder of what happens to those who oppose me, just consider the Elwyn family. Augustus placed a hand over his chest and bowed slightly. You can count on us. We won't let you down. The banquet ended on a high note, and later that night, the nobles reconvened at Augustus's mansion. Wren's transformation was the topic of heated discussion. He's not the fool we thought he was, one of them admitted. Should we report this to Lord Eldry? Another whispered. Augustus waved the idea away. Fools. If too many people know, our profits will shrink. This is a golden opportunity. Wren is using benefits to draw us in. We'll play along and line our pockets. Still, one cautious noble furrowed his brow. In all my years, I've never seen such a lucrative opportunity. That's exactly why I feel uneasy. He looked to Augustus with resolve. But whatever happens, I'll follow your guidance. I trust you. The man bowed deeply. The others followed suit, pledging their loyalty. Augustus grinned, standing tall. Then it's settled. From now on, we act as one. He raised a glass. Before the new pricing announcement is made public, we'll buy up every last sack of grain from the smaller merchants outside the city. This time, we make an enormous profit. Meanwhile, back at Ren's estate, a sudden commotion broke the peace. An unexpected guest stormed into the hall, Saintess Era, her golden robes fluttering like flames, eyes blazing with fury. "You scoundrel!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the room. "Didn't you promise to lower the grain prices? Why are you siding with those wicked merchants now?" She strode forward with righteous indignation burning in every step. "Today I'll show you that the elf race is not to be trifled with." Before things could escalate, Lillian stepped in, arms raised in a desperate attempt to calm her. "Saintess Era, please, don't act rashly. Lord Ren did promise to reduce the price of food. I'm certain he will keep his word." But Era wouldn't be swayed so easily. Her voice trembled with frustration. "He's already become an accomplice to those villains. How could he possibly lower prices now?" Still, Lillian held firm. "Please, just trust him. Lord Ren has a plan." Era hesitated, eyes narrowing as she studied Ren's composed expression. Then, in a quieter but still skeptical voice, she asked, "Lord Ren, do you truly intend to raise food prices?" Ren met her gaze and smiled gently. "Don't worry about it," he said, choosing not to reveal his plan. "Give it time. Within 2 weeks, the price will drop to the lowest point you've seen." "I've lived 2 centuries," she said grimly, "and I've never seen food prices drop after they rise." Ren chuckled, amused by her certainty. "Tell me," he said, "if I put a knife to those nobles' throats, how much would they lower the price by? 1 coin? 10 coins? Era couldn't answer. Ren's tone shifted, quiet, serious. "Era, if it's 2 gold coins per bag, the people will starve eventually. If it's 4 gold coins, they'll starve just the same, just a little sooner. So what difference does it make?" His words hit Era like a slap. She stood in silence, too angry to argue, too disturbed to deny the logic. "But I'm not here to play beggars and nobles," Ren said, standing now. "I don't want them tossing coins like they're doing charity. I want to destroy them, completely. I want to make them lose everything." 7 days passed. Ren focused on teaching Selena about lithium batteries. The young mage was captivated, her eyes shining with excitement, as she carefully assembled a prototype under Ren's guidance. "It's so delicate, but the way it stores power, it's ingenious," she whispered. Her lesson was interrupted by Leah, who entered with a bow. "Young Master Ren, Saintess Era has come to see you. Again." Ren sighed lightly. "She certainly has a lot of free time." Selena looked up, smirking. "Still trying to figure out why you raised the price of grain?" Leah added. "Food selling for nearly 7 gold coins per sack now." Ren raised an eyebrow. "That fast?" Before anyone could respond, Era marched in once again, angrier than ever. "Ren, do you know how high the price has gone? Even nobles can't afford food. You're driving the city to ruin." Ren didn't flinch. "Leah, how many days since the price hike?" 7, my lord." "Perfect," Ren said, a smile playing at his lips. "Then it's time to deal with those merchants." Era crossed her arms tightly. "Enough riddles. Tell me clearly, do you intend to solve this crisis or not? If not, the elves will cut ties with you today." Ren turned to her with calm authority. "I didn't tell you earlier because I was worried you might give something away and ruin the plan. But now it's time you understand." He held up a hand, counting each point. 7 days, an official notice mandating that the minimum price of grain be 4 gold coins per sack. "What do you think Island City has the most of right now?" Era blinked. "What?" "Food," Ren answered. "And merchants. Right now there are too many merchants selling food." Era's expression changed, confused, then thoughtful. Ren's smile deepened. "Now you get it. Greed is the easiest part of human nature to exploit. News of high food prices spread to the neighboring towns, and what did their merchants do? They came here, rushing to sell." Selena caught on quickly. "They're flooding the city with food, aren't they?" "Exactly," Ren said. "Island has more food than any other city in the Empire right now, and the 4 fools who thought they controlled the market, they kept buying, thinking they could resell at a profit. Greed blinded them." He pulled out a sheet of parchment and handed it to Leah. "Post this throughout the city," he ordered. It reads, "The Saintess Era, Holy Maiden of the Church, disapproves of Lord Ren's harsh methods and has chosen to sell the church's food reserves at only 1 gold coin per sack. Make sure everyone hears it." Era was startled. "Wait, what? Why are you giving me the credit?" Ren grinned. Because I don't have any food to sell. Era paled. But I don't either. At least not enough. That food is for winter. We need it to survive. Exactly, Ren said calmly, which is why you must sell it. No, Era said, stepping back in horror. Absolutely not. That food is sacred to our survival. Selena covered her mouth, laughing softly. Era, you're so naive. If I were you, I'd do what Ren says. Otherwise, you'll suffer real losses. I told you, we don't care about money, Era snapped. We only need food. Ren's voice turned soft, but firm. Holy Maiden Era, trust me. Follow my lead. I promise your supplies will increase. Then he turned to Selena. We'll need you and the Mages Guild. Seal the city. Selena nodded, expression sharpening. Don't worry. I won't let a single rat escape. Ren's eyes narrowed, filled with cold fury. Good. Now it's time to make those greedy merchants pay. After Era and Selena left, the air in Ren's study grew quiet. Leah remained behind, her usual poise gone. She stood still, fingers clutched tightly before her, eyes filled with unease. Ren noticed immediately. Leah, he said gently, is something troubling you? She hesitated before speaking. My lord, I'm worried. What if things don't unfold as smoothly as you expect? What if those merchants hold out for a few more days? What if Saintus Era runs out of food? Ren gave a dry chuckle, leaning back in his chair. Leah, there are two kinds of strategies, covert schemes and overt plans. The former can be exposed. The latter, well, they're unavoidable. He tapped a finger thoughtfully on the armrest. Those merchants who came to Island, they're already blinded by their ambitions. They've staked their fortunes, their lives on this gamble. They dream of riches overnight. But when they hear that prices are falling, they won't hold back. They'll rush to sell and withdraw. His tone turned cold. For them, delay means death. Meanwhile, across the city at the Augustus estate, chaos reigned. A hastily gathered meeting of noblemen filled the grand chamber. Panic clung to every face, their voices loud and urgent. Lord Augustus, one of them cried. Disaster! The church just announced they're selling food reserves for 1 gold coin per sack to help the people. Another noble spoke up, his voice trembling. We underestimated the church's stores. What do we do now? We bought all our grain at 2 gold coins per sack. At the head of the table, Lord Augustus remained composed. He steepled his fingers, speaking slowly and with measured calm. Control yourselves. It's the church. How much food could they possibly have? Enough to feed the city for a few days at best. He gestured to a servant. Send men to infiltrate the crowd. Buy up as much food as possible. If the church is giving it away, we'll take it from the inside. The following day, the church courtyard swelled with desperate citizens. A sea of people, old and young, pressed forward, their hunger visible in their faces and voices. At the front, Saintus Era stood, arms raised, trying to calm the growing unrest. Please, don't push. There's enough food for everyone, she called out. The Holy Pope is aware of your suffering. He has personally sent 100,000 sacks of grain. This is just the first shipment. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some didn't believe her. Whispers of suspicion turned into shouts of accusation. A few began pushing forward, desperate to get ahead of what they feared was a limited supply. Just then, the sound of marching boots rang out. Soldiers from the city guard, clad in silver and red. They quickly formed ranks, restoring order through their sheer presence. One soldier stepped forward and addressed the crowd formally. This shipment of grain has been provided by the Holy Pope himself. It is only the first. Additional caravans will arrive starting tomorrow to continue distribution throughout Island. Era blinked, stunned. Thank you, she said, barely able to hide the confusion in her voice. Lord Ren, she thought nervously, please stop adding more to the script. I'm barely holding it together. What if the Holy Pope actually hears about this? What am I supposed to say? Still, the crowd cheered wildly. The promise of food lifted their spirits, and for a moment, Island felt alive with hope again. We have food. We're saved, someone cried. But elsewhere in the city, the reaction was much different. In a side street, one merchant slumped against his cart, pale and wide-eyed. It's over, he muttered. The church ruined everything. His companion looked at the remaining stock with dread. My cost per sack was 60 silver coins. With transport and bribes, it came to 95 silver. I can still sell at a loss of just 10 coins per sack. I have to act, now. He stood up abruptly and began shouting to the crowd. Selling grain, fresh grain, 95 silver coins per sack. The reaction was immediate. I'll take 10. Me too. Here's my silver. People surged forward, desperate to buy. Other merchants, watching in horror, realized they had no choice. If they didn't sell now, they'd be left with worthless stock. More carts opened. More voices joined the price war. From that moment on, the price of grain in Island plummeted like a stone in water. Back at the estate, Leah couldn't contain her excitement. She rushed to Ren, nearly breathless. Lord Ren, it's incredible. Everything is unfolding exactly as you said. The price of grain is crashing. We might hit 50 silver coins per sack within days. She laughed, giddy. Your construction project will be completed on schedule after all. Ren gave a faint, amused smile. 50 silver coins? You're underestimating the desperation of those merchants. Leah blinked. You mean it'll drop even more? Ren stood and looked out the window, eyes focused on the distant city streets. Just wait. When Augustus and his allies start dumping their stockpile, grain will become the cheapest commodity in all of Ireland. Leah's jaw dropped. But they bought at 2 gold coins per sack. And at the banquet, they acted so united. There's no way they'll turn on each other, right? Ren laughed, low and sharp. United? Leah, you overestimate them. When faced with personal loss, even the most loyal friends become strangers. The bond between nobles is built on profit, not trust. He turned, eyes gleaming. The price of grain is no longer a problem. Now it's time for me to discuss the real deal with the Saintess. He stepped toward the door. Let's go. At the Augustus estate, chaos continued to simmer just beneath the surface. A butler burst into the room, face flushed and breathing ragged. Lord Augustus, he exclaimed. The merchants from outside the city. They've gone mad. They're continuously slashing prices. As of now, grain is selling at 75 silver coins per bag. A nobleman shot up from his seat, slamming a fist against the table. Impossible, he roared. What nonsense are you spouting? All the grain in Ireland belongs to us. How could there be grain from the outside affecting the market? The butler paled. Lord Roland, it's the truth. I wouldn't dare lie to you. Augustus narrowed his eyes, deep in thought. A dark shadow passed over his face as realization dawned, his expression twisted in bitter recognition. I see it now, he muttered. I see it all so clearly. He stood suddenly, voice rising with fury. Young Master Ren, you ruthless devil, do you intend to destroy my entire family? The other nobles were stunned. Lord Augustus, one of them asked. What do you mean? Augustus turned to face them, his tone sharp and calculated. First, he spread rumors, talk of grain prices in Ireland soaring beyond reason. Word reached merchants in neighboring cities, and their greed consumed them. They rushed in with carts full of grain, believing they could make a fortune. He paced the room, his agitation building. Then he used the church to crash the market. They announced grain sales at 1 gold coin per sack. Panic spread. Merchants feared ruin and started selling at a loss to salvage what they could. Roland's face turned ghostly pale, sweat beating at his temples. To then young Master Ren, planned this from the very beginning. Augustus nodded grimly. And he succeeded. He's cornered us like rats. But then his eyes narrowed, a glint of defiance shining through. Even so, there's still a way to reverse this disaster. Roland leaned forward, desperate. Lord Augustus, please, tell us. If we hold firm, Augustus declared, we can still recover. This grain glut won't last forever. It might feed the city for a few months, but not beyond that. When scarcity returns, prices will skyrocket again. He raised a hand. We stockpile. We wait. And when the moment's right, we sell. But we must stand together. No one sells now. If even one of us caves, it's over for all. Roland nodded solemnly. You're right. I'll return home at once and order a complete lockdown on my grain reserves. He turned to leave, but as he walked out the door, his thoughts betrayed him. Wait for what? Sell everything, now. I mustn't let them sell before I do. As Roland departed, the remaining nobles exchanged wary glances. They, too, were already doing the same mental math. Roland, you snake, plan to act first? Fine. Then every man for himself. 2 nobles made excuses and left hastily. Augustus watched them go, his jaw tightening. The moment the door shut behind them, his butler approached cautiously. Master, shall I instruct the staff to secure the grain and make sure none of it is sold? Augustus's foot lashed out in a sudden fury, kicking the butler square in the side. You idiot! If we don't sell and they do, we'll be left holding rotting grain and empty purses. Clutching his ribs, the butler staggered back. Get moving, Augustus barked. Sell everything. Liquidate every sack before they do. Meanwhile, at the church, Ren stood calmly before Saintess Era, the light of the sun filtering through the stained glass windows behind him. Well, Saintess, he said casually, is this grain enough to keep your people alive through the winter? Era still looked dazed. No matter how much they sold, the grain supply didn't dwindle. If anything, it only seemed to increase. I don't understand, she admitted. How is this possible? Ren smiled, eyes gleaming. It's because you're buying low and selling high. Between each transaction, you're profiting by tens of thousands of gold coins. At that moment, Lillian rushed into the room, breathless. Lord Ren, the grain price dropped again. Now a single gold coin can buy 3 bags. Ren turned to Era with a teasing grin. See, I told you to wait just a little longer, and you didn't believe me. Now, with the same money, you can purchase 10 times more than before. He stepped forward, voice steady. So, can we now discuss our transaction? Era hesitated. What exactly do you want to trade with our elven tribe? Ren extended a hand, his expression confident. Everything, Era blinked. Everything. Food, clothing, housing, transportation, whatever your tribe needs, we negotiate. From small trades like grain to larger matters like land and infrastructure. A full partnership. The Saintess looked overwhelmed. This is too much for me to decide alone. You'll have to speak with our queen. No problem, Ren said with a nod. He handed her a sealed letter. Please deliver this to your queen. Arrange a meeting for me, anytime that suits her. Era took the letter, still unsure what to make of him. As Ren watched her go, a calculating look flickered in his eyes. This grain crisis, it's done. The nobles have been warned. They won't act recklessly again, at least not for now. The Mage Guild is already under my control, and taking the church is just a matter of time. Only Eldry remains, and he still holds 2 trump cards, the military and taxation. Ren's eyes narrowed. If I can gain control of the military, no matter what schemes Eldry hides up his sleeve, he'll never escape me. Time to find a way into the heart of the military. Time to take the final piece. Leah stepped beside Ren, interrupting his thoughts with gentle concern. Young master, you should rest a little. Let me help you relax. Ren offered a faint smile. I'm not that tired. Before he could say more, the peace shattered. The man stormed into the church, red-faced and seething. Those damned soldiers, abusing the Grand Duke's name. Why doesn't the divine strike them down with lightning? Eric, the priest, quickly stepped forward, raising his hands to calm the man. Please, sir, we uphold compassion here. What happened? The man's voice shook with fury. I came to Island to do business. Profit and loss, I can accept that. But on my way out of the city, those scoundrel soldiers robbed me. How am I supposed to do business like this? Ren stepped in, eyes calm but sharp. What exactly happened? The man turned on him. And who are you supposed to be? Ren gave him a friendly smile. Someone who wants to do business with you. Later that day, Ren, Leah, and Lillian, disguised as merchants, joined the man and a small caravan heading toward the city gates. They blended in among the traders, observing firsthand how travelers were being treated. At the gate, a guard raised a hand. Halt! Where are you coming from? What's in the carts? Lillian stepped forward with practiced confidence. Sir Soldier, I'm a resident of Island. The goods were purchased in the city. We're heading to trade with the Elven tribe. The guard snorted. Oh, trading, huh? Sure you are. Search the carts. Soldiers yanked off the coverings, poking barrels with the butts of their spears. One soldier even shattered a wooden container, spilling dried herbs everywhere. Sir, please, stop, Lillian cried. That's fragile. How am I supposed to transport it now? A subordinate soldier reported to his superior. Nothing suspicious here, boss. The commanding officer sneered. Then, by regulation, you need to pay the toll. Toll? Lillian's voice rose. You just destroyed my goods, and now you're charging me. Either pay, the guard said with a shrug, or turn around. Ren's voice drifted from inside the cart. Lillian, just pay it. Fuming, she pulled out a silver coin and held it out. The guard snatched it, then smirked. Toll's gone up. Under Lord Ren's decree, it's now 5 silver coins. What? Leah snapped. 5. The goods aren't even worth 3. Are you paying or not? The guard barked. If not, move along and stop blocking the road. Grinding her teeth, Lillian handed over the coins, muttering bitterly, daring to impersonate Lord Ren to extort money? Just wait. Once his plans are complete, he'll make you pay. The guards waved them through. Inside the carriage, Ren sat alongside the agitated merchant. That young Lord Ren is absolutely despicable, the man fumed. Raising tolls like that? Thieves, all of them. The merchant outraged. Watch your mouth. Lord Ren is a hero to Island. We won't tolerate slander. Ren chuckled quietly. You merchants are peculiar. The guards clearly said Ren raised the tolls, yet you blame the guards instead? You must be new here, the merchant said with respect in his voice. Lord Ren slashed grain prices so the poor could eat. Sure, I took a loss, but for the first time I saw a noble care about common folk. If I met him, I'd lay down my life for him. Ren kept his tone casual. But I heard the Duke's youngest son killed someone at a banquet, then mobilized civilians to dig something up. You mean the Elwyn family? The merchant glanced around, then lowered his voice. They had it coming. Everyone doing business in Island knows the truth. He leaned closer and whispered, People think they got rich from gambling, but no. Their real trade is human trafficking. Ren froze, his jaw tightening. What did you say? Suppressing his rising fury, Ren thought bitterly, I'm already short on manpower, and these vermin are stealing my labor force. He turned his gaze toward the road ahead. I need control over the border troops. If chaos breaks out inside the city, it'll invite vultures from other nations. Suddenly, Lillian's voice rang from outside the cart. Why are you charging another toll? We already paid when we left Island. A border guard snapped. Island's toll is separate from the border toll. You're lying, she shouted. It's always been a single fee. Girl, either pay up or turn back. Clenching her fists, Lillian demanded, How much? 1 gold coin. Her face went red. 1 gold coin? You're practically robbing us. Lillian, Ren called calmly, pay them. Reluctantly, she handed it over. But the guard wasn't finished. There are more people inside. Everyone out. Border rules. Everyone gets inspected. Ren stepped down from the cart with Leah, his gaze locked with the guards. If you want to inspect us, then do it. The guard hesitated, suddenly pale. A nearby soldier sneered at one of the merchants. Driz, you immortal old fool. You dare show your face again? Ren raised an eyebrow. An acquaintance of yours? Driz grimaced. These men used to be mountain bandits. The Elwyn family brought them in, had them kidnapping and selling people. The soldier grinned maliciously. Last time, Driz underpaid the toll and I got chewed out. You owe me. This time, if you don't cough up 5 gold, you're not going anywhere. Driz shouted. Liar! I paid every copper. The soldier pointed his weapon. You paid last time, so what? If it weren't for you being in that cart, we'd let you pass for a couple coins. But now, 5 gold. Ren, watching silently, suddenly spoke. Something's not right. With tolls this high, why is Island's treasury still low? The soldier sneered. Where'd you crawl out from? His eyes drifted toward Leah. Heh? Didn't know Island had women like you. Before he could touch her, Ren stepped in, blocking him. I was considering whether you'd be useful as a laborer, he said coldly. But now I see. You're beyond saving. The soldier roared in rage and thrust his spear. In a flash, Leah moved. The blade of her dagger gleamed once, and the soldier collapsed, lifeless. The remaining guards gasped, stumbling back. Ren's voice was icy. Kill anyone who resists, then take control of this post. Panic erupted. The soldiers dropped their weapons and ran. Help! Murderers at the border! They didn't get far. Leah blurred into motion, her blade silent but swift. In seconds, she cut down a handful who had tried to flee. Ren checked the system panel. These were supposed to be soldiers? Their stats are pathetic. His father's voice echoed in memory. Ren, beyond Island lies the territory of the Ditch Kingdom. Be careful. Avoid conflict at all costs. Once nations get involved, the situation becomes uncontrollable. Ren exhaled, grateful he'd uncovered this rot before it was too late. Just then, Leah approached the last few soldiers, her dagger still dripping. But before she could act, a voice bellowed, Who dares cause trouble at Island's border? A tall man approached, clad in polished armor. The soldiers, pale and desperate, cried out in unison, General Caesar, we're saved. Please help us. Caesar narrowed his eyes at Ren. Are you the one stirring trouble here? Ren activated his skill, scanning the man's stats. All attributes above 70, but loyalty only 12. If not for that loyalty, you'd be a true asset. Ren stepped forward. You must be Caesar of the Hulk family. Your brother works in Praia territory, doesn't he? Caesar hesitated. How do you know that? Because Praia Edgar is my sister. Caesar's eyes widened. You're Ren? The Duke's youngest son? The soldiers fell to their knees in panic. We're doomed. We messed with the Duke's son. Caesar stiffened, the memory rushing back, his brother's letter, warning him that Ren would soon arrive and must be protected at all costs. But another memory followed. Elry's golden bribe. His whispered words, "Island's future depends on you. The Duke sent you here to rot because he doesn't value you. This is what you deserve." Back then, Caesar had agreed. I deserve more. Even now, with his error laid bare, Caesar felt no shame. Drawing his sword, he barked, "How dare you impersonate Lord Ren? Soldiers, kill this fraud, and you'll be handsomely rewarded." Leah's eyes blazed with fury. "How dare you, Caesar? Are you planning to rebel against the Empire?" The nearby soldiers faltered, visibly shaken by her words. Whispers broke out among them as they realized the gravity of Caesar's actions. Betraying a Grand Duke's son was treason punishable by death, not just for them, but for their entire families. Despite their panic, Caesar remained resolute. "We've already blackmailed the Duke's son. There's no going back. The law won't save us now." His voice was calm, persuasive, as he reminded them of their prior misdeeds. Seeing their hesitation, Caesar pressed further. "Think about what Lord Ren has already done. He wiped out the Elwyn family. 4 major noble houses were reduced to ruin because of him. And this," he spread his arms wide, "this is the westernmost region of the Collateral Empire. If we take all the wealth we've plundered over the years and present Ren Edgar's head to the Orvis Empire, we could at least live out our lives as minor nobles." Then, leveling his sword at Ren, Caesar added coldly, "Live or die. It's your choice. I won't force you." The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances, weighing his words. One by one, they began to raise their weapons, not against Caesar, but toward Ren. Leah's alarm deepened. She could see the tide turning. The men were buying into Caesar's rhetoric. Then, just like that, the decision was made. The soldiers fell in behind Caesar, surrounding Ren with deadly intent. Caesar grinned, satisfied. "Young Master Ren, any last words?" Despite the spears pointed at him, Ren remained composed. "Caesar, if you repent now, I'll spare your life. But I had hoped for better from you." Before Ren could finish, Caesar cut him off with a barked order. "Kill him!" The soldiers surged forward. Leah reacted instantly. With a sharp tear, she ripped the hem of her dress for better mobility and dashed into the fray. Her first target fell with a single precise strike. Another lunged at her, thrusting a spear toward her face. She spun, narrowly avoiding the blow, then countered with a devastating dagger strike. Out of the corner of her eye, Leah spotted a soldier breaking from the group, charging straight for Ren. Ren remained still, calm, seemingly unworried. Without hesitation, Leah hurled her dagger. It struck the soldier in the throat, ending the threat in an instant. Ren turned toward Caesar, his expression hardening. "This is your last chance. Stop this madness." Caesar, now fully enraged, roared, "Kill him! Whoever slays Ren Edgar gets a reward of 1,000 gold coins." Lured by greed, the soldiers charged with renewed fury. One of them targeted Leah, hoping to clear the way to Ren, but she dropped him with a brutal kick. Another group tried to overwhelm her with sheer numbers, but she moved like a tempest. Precision, speed, and lethal force in motion. A spinning kick sent several sprawling. "Enough!" Caesar shouted. "Mage, take her down!" A robed mage raised his hands, conjuring an orb of energy. With a burst of light, 3 ice arrows shot toward Leah. She shattered them with her kicks, but the broken shards froze the ground beneath her, locking her feet in place. "She can't move!" Caesar roared. "Kill Ren now!" The soldiers split into 2 groups, one surrounding Leah, the other rushing toward Ren. Assessing the situation, Ren quickly tossed a hammer to Leah. "Jump!" In his other hand, he held a wire connected to a concealed device. Leah smashed the ice binding her feet with the hammer and launched herself into the air. As she rose, Ren dropped the wire onto the frost-covered ground. Electricity surged outward in a crackling wave. The frozen terrain acted as a perfect conductor. Screams filled the air as the soldiers collapsed mid-charge, paralyzed and unconscious. Ren stood alone amid them, balanced on broken ceramic shards he'd placed beneath his boots for insulation. He grinned. "Not bad. If I had a camera, I'd turn this into a safety training video on electrical hazards." The remaining soldiers froze, stunned by what they had just seen. "Was that lightning magic?" one of them whispered. "Forward," he bellowed. "He's just one man. Kill him." One soldier hesitated. "General, that was forbidden magic. If we get close, we're dead." Before he could finish, Caesar drove his sword through the man's chest. Coward. Undermining morale. Turned back to the others. "Charge! Now!" but none moved. Leah looked to Ren, worried. Young master, the others weren't affected. Why? Ren frowned. The battery's dead. I only brought one for this field test. Leah gritted her teeth. Then let's escape. I'll cover you. But Ren only smiled. No need. Caesar's little drama ends here. Caesar, mistaking Ren's calm for fear, gave the final order. Don't let him escape. Kill him. A pillar of radiant light descended from the sky, halting everyone in their tracks. The soldiers gasped, backing away in fear. Caesar's face twisted with dread as he looked upward. From above, a radiant column of light descended, and within it, Selena appeared. Caesar's eyes widened in shock. Why is a member of the Mage Association here? He was too stunned to react. Selena descended gracefully, followed by a cadre of mages cloaked in azure robes, the emblem of the association gleaming on their chests. She offered Ren a calm, elegant smile. Young master, I arrived just in time, haven't I? Ren gave a small nod, his eyes sharp with resolve. Perfect timing. My battery just ran out. Selena raised an eyebrow. Battery? The cold poise in her voice gave way to genuine curiosity. She hadn't expected that explanation, and she was intrigued. Ren chuckled lightly. Once we've captured Caesar and his co-conspirators, I'll explain everything in detail. Understood, sir. Selena turned toward her comrades and raised her voice. All mages, hear my command. Assist Lord Ren in eliminating the rebels immediately. The mages responded at once, channeling their power. Bolts of lightning surged from the sky, striking with devastating precision. Explosions rocked the ground, and terrified screams filled the air. Spare me. I was wrong. Please, let me go. I swear I'll never do it again. Panicked survivors dropped their weapons and fled in every direction. Chaos consumed the battlefield. Through the smoke and flashes of lightning, Caesar rose to his feet, eyes bloodshot with hatred. He clenched his teeth and snarled, Ren Edgar, even if I die today, I'll drag you to hell with me. With a primal roar, Caesar charged. He weaved through the magical onslaught, ignoring the lightning strikes and arcane blasts from the other mages. As he neared, he leapt into the air with startling agility, his sword raised high. Ice Mountain Slash! The massive blade shimmered with freezing energy, poised to strike with lethal force. Ren stood motionless, eerily calm. Just before the blade could land, a blur of movement intercepted Caesar. With only a small dagger in hand, she blocked his powerful blow. The impact shattered the ground beneath her, cracking the earth, but Leah held firm. Her eyes were cold and fearless. Caesar's confidence cracked. How is she this fast? This strong? Before he could retreat, Leah closed the distance and delivered a brutal kick to his chest. He flew across the field like a broken doll, smashing into a wooden fence and collapsing into unconsciousness. Leah approached his crumpled body and muttered, Trash! An hour later, Caesar slowly regained consciousness. Groaning, he opened his eyes and froze. Across from him sat Ren, calmly reading over a stack of documents under the flickering light of an oil lamp. Shadows danced across Ren's face, highlighting the sharp glint in his eyes. You're awake, Ren said, not even looking up. Over the years, you've embezzled a considerable sum as the border official. When did you start working with Eldry? Caesar's jaw tightened. You? How do you know that? Ren looked up, smirking. Don't be so surprised. I've known for some time that Eldry planned to betray the Empire. I was simply waiting for the right opportunity to expose him. And thanks to you, that opportunity has arrived. Caesar let out a bitter, mocking laugh. You think a little evidence of corruption will be enough to bring down Lord Eldry? Ren's gaze sharpened. You misunderstand. These records aren't for threats or blackmail. He tapped the documents. They're for calculating the annual trade tax revenue of Iceland. I need them to rebuild the city. Caesar's laugh turned scornful. Rebuild Island? You're delusional. Eldry controls all the nobles. None of them will listen to you. Ren smiled faintly. Let me explain something, Caesar. The living are called nobles. The dead are called corpses. Caesar went pale. Raising two fingers, Ren said coldly, The nobles of Island have two choices. 1, follow you to the road of death. 2, obey me and work honestly. What do you think they'll choose? Later, Ren stood atop the crumbling city wall, gazing at the desolate skyline. The wind carried the scent of autumn. Judging by the season, Grand Duke Sauron will move his forces soon. If war breaks out, these walls won't hold. To the west lay the elven territory of Saintus. Negotiations with them were delicate but promising. No major threat there. To the east was his second sister's domain, solidly loyal. The real danger came from the north. Grand Duke Sauron. As he pondered the next steps, Leah approached with a stack of papers. Young master, all the embezzled funds have been tallied. 350,000 gold coins in total. Ren nodded. Good. Have our guards take control of this outpost, distribute 100 gold coins to each soldier, and send the rest back to Iceland. Nearby, Selena was preparing to return to the city with the mages. Ren approached and offered a sincere bow. Thank you for everything. The Mage Association's assistance was invaluable. Selena gave him a rare smile. It's our duty. But I do expect you to explain how you powered that lightning device. How can someone with no magical affinity do that? Ren chuckled. I'll explain everything in the carriage. Pleased, Selena grabbed his arm and practically pulled him toward the vehicle. Then hurry, we're leaving now. Just as they were about to depart, a man came sprinting toward them. Malcolm, breathless and visibly shaken, cried out, My Lady Selena, Lord Ren, urgent news. Selena frowned. Calm yourself. What happened? It's Lord Eldry. He's betrayed us. He's seized control of Island. Selena gasped. What? But Ren's expression remained calm. So he finally made his move. Selena's worry deepened. What will we do? All the Mage Association's forces are out here. The city has no defenses. Ren turned toward the horizon, eyes steely. Stay calm. From the moment Eldry chose rebellion, his defeat was already certain. With the news of Eldry's coup, Ren wasted no time. He gathered his soldiers and the Mage Association's forces and marched straight back toward Island. The gates of Island stood shut, ironclad and immovable beneath the gray morning sky. Ren stepped forward slowly, each step measured and deliberate. His voice rang out with unwavering confidence. Eldry, have I finally cornered you? High atop the battlements, Eldry appeared with a sneer on his face, utterly unfazed by Ren's presence. Well, well, he called out mockingly. If it isn't young Master Ren, what brings you to Eland today? Ren ignored the sarcasm. He was more curious about something else. Something deeper. Why, Eldry? He asked coldly. Why would you dare betray my father? The question hit a nerve. Eldry's face twisted with fury. Why? He bellowed, voice echoing from the walls. Because he cast me aside. Years ago, your father and I fought side by side to forge this empire, risked our lives together. And what did I get in return? He raised an accusing hand. Exile. He dumped my entire family into this barren wasteland like garbage. I wrote him letters, begged for a transfer to a better province. Each one ignored. Every plea rejected. And now you ask why? Behind Eldry, a group of warriors stepped forward, hardened men, scarred by battle. Ren recognized them, veterans who once fought beside his father. Forgotten, cast aside. They stood silently, their presence heavy with bitterness. We are not rebels, Eldry declared, chest out, voice filled with righteous fury. We are only taking back what should have been ours long ago. Ren let out a low, disappointed chuckle. I thought you'd at least offer a noble reason, but this is just another petty power grab. He turned to the soldiers and nobles watching from the walls. I'll give you all a chance, Ren said, voice firm. Anyone who wants to live, leave the city and surrender. If not, in 3 days, I'll break down these walls. Don't blame me for what happens next. His final words turned cold as ice, a deadly promise. But the nobles only laughed. 3 days, one of them jeered. Young master, do you even know how fortified Island is? You'll bleed your men dry before you make a dent in these walls, Eldry smirked. Ha, Ren. Have you lost your mind from fear? You've always been a boy who talks big. Let's test that mouth of yours. He leaned over the wall, voice dripping with challenge. Let's make a bet. Ren's brow furrowed. What kind of bet? Eldry straightened with theatrical flair. If you breach Eland in 3 days, I'll surrender. No resistance. Do whatever you like with me. Ren's voice was calm, unshaken. And if I fail? Eldry laughed, deep and loud. If you fail, you surrender to me, and I'll deal with you however I wish. He spread his arms wide. So, Ren, do you dare take the bet? Before Ren could respond, Selena stepped forward quickly. Young master, don't listen to him, she said anxiously. There's no need for this. We can take our time. You don't need to risk everything. Leah agreed, handing Ren a sealed report. The rebellion has already been reported to the Grand Duke, she said. Reinforcements from the capital are on their way. Just hold the line. But Eldry kept goading from the wall. What's wrong, young Master Ren? No answer? Have you gone mute? Another noble chimed in with a mocking shout. He's scared. Just now he was boasting, but look at him now, a cowardly turtle hiding in his shell. Ren smirked. Since you're so desperate to humiliate yourself, I'll grant your wish. He turned, cloak fluttering behind him. 3 days. Keep your word. Eldry raised his voice for all to hear, filled with self-assurance. Everyone here is a witness. If he breaches the city, I'll surrender. He called out once more as Ren began to leave. Oh, and Ren, one more thing. Ren stopped, glancing over his shoulder. The Vivis Empire has already received word of my rebellion, Eldry said, eyes glinting with triumph. In 10 days, their army will reach the border. When that happens, don't let yourself get captured alive. Ren returned to his command tent. Outside the gates, his army pitched camp under a sky thick with tension. Inside the tent, the air was heavier still. Selena finally broke the silence. My lord, Island's walls may look old, but they're still strong. With our limited forces, taking the city in 3 days is nearly impossible. A commander stepped forward. We could fall back, my lord. Head south, regroup, wait for the Grand Duke's reinforcements. That way, we avoid unnecessary losses. Ren stood over the map, hands clasped behind his back. Stay calm, he said. Island will fall in 3 days. What truly worried him wasn't the siege, it was the looming arrival of the Vius army. They had 10 days at most. He turned to Leah. What about the preparations I asked for? All done, she said. Firewood and hay collected, and we found a lake nearby, just like you asked. Ren nodded and turned to Selena. I want your mages to freeze the lake. Lower the temperature of the water to 0 degrees. Selena looked confused. My lord, how will that help us breach Island's walls? Ren smiled faintly. Trust me, those walls won't last 3 days. The next morning. As the sun rose, Ren led his troops forward. Soldiers hauled bundles of hay and stacks of dry firewood toward the base of the city wall. Eldry watched from above, squinting at the bizarre sight. Archers! Fire! He ordered, but Ren's soldiers raised shields and thick barriers, pushing through the hail of arrows until they reached the walls. Then, without hesitation, they dropped their bundles and retreated. Eldry frowned. What are they doing? He turned to a nearby soldier. Have you ever seen a siege like this? The man looked baffled. No, sir, but maybe they're planning to set the wall on fire? Slap! Eldry struck him across the face. Set fire to stone? Are you a fool? You think stone burns? The soldier winced, clutching his cheek. Forgive me, sir. I don't know any other explanation. Just then, another guard screamed from the ramparts. Fire! Sir Eldry! The wall, it's on fire! Eldry rushed to the edge and looked down. Sure enough, flames danced up the base of the wall, growing rapidly. Smoke billowed into the air. He stared, stunned, then scoffed. Ha! Trying to burn a stone wall? Ren is even more foolish than I thought. Another officer stepped forward nervously. Sir, should we call the Vivis mages to extinguish it, or shoot down the soldiers? Eldry dismissed them with a wave. No need. The mages are for real emergencies. Don't waste their energy on this nonsense. And don't waste arrows either. Let him play his games. He crossed his arms and sneered. In 3 days, I'll crush Ren's pride beneath these very walls. For 2 days straight, Ren's soldiers returned, hauling more firewood, more hay, burning the base of the walls again and again. Eldry watched with growing amusement. Each night, he returned to his mansion, filled with confidence. He drank, laughed, and celebrated. There's no way Ren could take the city like this, he thought smugly. Time slipped by quickly. As Eldry reveled in his sense of impending triumph, sipping wine with fellow nobles in his mansion, a panicked subordinate suddenly burst into the hall. His face was pale, his voice shaking. My lord Eldry, the enemy, they've stopped burning the walls. Eldry stood up sharply, his expression brimming with confidence. Then he let out a booming laugh. Ha! Have they finally run out of firewood? He sneered. It seems that foolish brat is about to kneel and beg for mercy. Come, gentlemen, let us witness his humiliating defeat together. Nobles chuckled in agreement, some already rising to follow. Today marked the final day of the wager between Ren and Eldry. For 2 days straight, Ren's forces had relentlessly burned firewood and hay at the base of Island's thick walls. The heat had become unbearable, making even approaching the defenses nearly impossible. Everyone in Eldry's camp was certain of victory. Atop the walls of Island, Eldry stood with his arms confidently crossed, peering down at the opposing army below. His eyes narrowed, lips curled into a sneer. Well, Ren, he called mockingly, have you finally put out the fire and decided to surrender like a good boy? Ren lifted his gaze, expression grim. His deep voice rang clearly across the battlefield, steady and unwavering. Eldry, and all of you nobles, I'll give you one last chance. Surrender or die. Eldry blinked, then burst into raucous laughter. Ha! Ren, have you gone mad? What makes you think we would surrender? Have you forgotten our wager? Today is the final day. If you fail to breach island before sundown, you must bow your head in defeat. Or do you plan to break your word in front of all these warriors? The nobles on the wall joined in. That's right. If you can't break through, don't you dare crawl away from your promise. Ren closed his eyes and took a slow breath. Then he murmured to himself, "Then don't blame me." He opened his eyes, sharp as blades, and raised his hand. "Selena, do it. Do it. Now." A figure appeared in the sky. Selena, Ren's strongest mage, rose into the air, her fluttering in the wind as she summoned the full breadth of her magic. Then, with a fierce cry, Selena unleashed her power. A monstrous bolt of lightning, like an enraged dragon, exploded from the heavens and tore through the sky, barreling toward the city walls. Eldri's eyes widened. "Mages, deploy the defensive barrier." All at once, his mages emerged, chanting in unison. Light swelled around them as they conjured up a brilliant magical shield, wrapping Eldri and the nobles in its protective dome. But then, something unexpected happened. The lightning didn't aim for Eldri. It struck the base of the city wall instead. Everyone froze. Even Eldri was momentarily stunned, unsure of what had just happened. Then he broke into mocking laughter again. "Ha! That's it? I thought Selena of the Mages Association was supposed to be terrifying. Turns out she's just a glorified candle." But his laughter was short-lived. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Massive storm clouds churned like waves on a black ocean. Thunder growled relentlessly, and then a torrential downpour began. As Eldri stood, trying to make sense of what was happening, Ren's next order rang out. "Advance!" His soldiers charged forward, but they weren't carrying weapons, nor firewood. Instead, they bore countless buckets, each filled to the brim with ice water. Selena, exhausted from expending her mana, began to sway midair. Ren rushed forward to catch her as she descended. "Thank you," he whispered sincerely. "I didn't think you could actually change the weather. If we ever face a drought, I'm counting on you." Despite her fatigue, Selena looked up at him, concern tightening her brows. "Do you really think your plan will work?" Ren gently took her hand, steady and reassuring. "Trust me, when that ice-cold water hits the walls, Island's fortress will no longer stand." From the edge of the battlefield, Leah suddenly screamed, "Ren, look!" The first wave of soldiers reached the base of the walls. Rain poured from the sky. The walls, scorched from 2 days of relentless fire, hissed violently as the icy water from the buckets splashed against them. Steam erupted in thick white plumes. The stone itself groaned. Cracks, thin at first, began spidering along the surface. Then they spread, jagged and fast, splitting the walls like dry bark. A terrible cracking sound echoed, sharp, unnatural, and ominous. Eldri's face turned ashen. His voice was low, trembling. What's happening? Why is the wall making that sound? It should take a dozen high-level mages to break it." The nobles behind him looked equally horrified. "What's that noise? Is it going to collapse? That's impossible. It's built from enchanted granite." Boom. A deafening explosion ripped through the battlefield. A massive section of the fortress wall shattered, stones bursting apart with thunderous force. Screams rang out as Eldri, his nobles, and all the soldiers stationed atop the wall were thrown into the air, their bodies swallowed by clouds of dust and debris. They fell, helpless, into the rubble below. The scene was so sudden, so overwhelming that Ren's own troops stopped in their tracks, stunned. No one had expected the impenetrable fortress of Islan to collapse so swiftly or so completely. Ren didn't waste a single second. Seizing the opportunity, he issued a decisive command. "All troops, advance into the city. Capture those who surrender, but those who resist, kill without mercy." With that, the entire army surged forward. This time, their hands gripped gleaming weapons instead of buckets. The destruction of the fortress wall had shattered the defenders' morale. Despair blanketed them like a heavy fog. Most collapsed without a fight. Victory was now inevitable. Selena, still hovering near the breach, stared at the collapsed wall in disbelief. She murmured to herself, "It actually fell. This level of destruction, even if I used all my power, I doubt I could do this. Just how did Lord Ren manage it?" As she stood there, lost in thought, Ren approached with a calm smile. "Don't overthink it. The battle is over," he said gently. "Let's go home." Meanwhile, buried beneath broken stone, Eldri clawed his way out of the rubble. He had never tasted such a humiliating defeat. Rage and panic twisted his face as he gasped for breath, whispering through clenched teeth, "I underestimated Ren. But it's not over yet." If I can just hold out until the Ulvis Empire's northern army arrives, I still have a chance. But before he could stand, shadows loomed over him. Looking up, he saw three noblemen staring down with icy contempt. One of them sneered, his voice thick with mockery. "Lord Eldry, where do you think you're going? Planning to run away?" Another added coldly, eyes glinting, "We're not ready to die just yet, so I'm afraid you'll have to endure some indignities on our behalf."